Alrighty kids, we're back. And you wouldn't believe it, but it's taken me like 3 goes to try and do an intro to this video because I'm having a hard time dealing with what I'm seeing and trying to describe it in a way that's G-rated, basically. I'll just let you just sink into what I'm seeing, and you can just I'm just horrified. I'm horrified and I'm speechless at the same exact time. I think to myself, what have I got myself into? Why did I accept this job? But it can all be fixed. This is one of the tasks we're doing. So luckily, in my shop, we don't the way we work cars is because we've got multiple on the go, but to keep them all progressing, we actually do little 2-week or 1-week stints on the cars, and we rotate them around. That way they all progress at a reasonable pace. So if I just stopped working and just did the XY constantly, it would probably take 3 months to do. But then in that 3 months, nothing would happen, and nothing would happen to these 2 coupes in here. And then these people would be going, why haven't you done anything? Well, it's because I'm doing this. Whereas if we do 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, then they all progress. Which seems to be working fairly well as a bit of a business motto. So yeah, and this is a hand-me-down from another shop who seemed to have got a fair way into it and then just stopped. I'm thinking they stopped because they saw this disaster. But no, the shop that was okay. So I'm not gonna. I don't like bad-mouthing people, but I know that the shop that this is a hand-me-down from, I'm reasonably sure that they didn't do this to it. I reckon they were trying to recover, try and finish off the rest of it, which they seem to have been doing okay. So I think the shop that was doing it have taken on more jobs than they can handle, and this has sort of fallen by the wayside. And I don't think this needed much to be finished, and that's why it's here, because it's sort of a hand-me-down. They've sort of said, you guys are pretty good at doing these coupes, do you want to finish this one off, which is just this back section, and then you can hand it back and we'll finish the rest of it. And I was like, sure, that doesn't sound like a lot of work. On paper it didn't sound like a lot of work, but I'm thinking I know why. Wow. You just look at it, and the longer you look, the more your eyes hurt. Look at this, and it's like, oh, I'm totally getting a measuring device to measure this. This is curiosity. So we do, and if you're wondering the other video the other day, we have a new tail panel, new corners, and we have, before I get too distracted on 50 other things, and we have a new piece of boot floor to go in. This is an eBay special, but I'm pretty sure you can get these through Mr. Astle. And yes, that looks like it's pretty good. Looks significantly better than the one that you can get from Rare Spares, even though I didn't actually find the ones from Rare Spares offensive. But that's quite a nice piece, and that's going to replace all of that. Yeah, so I'm just going to get my tape measure, and see, many years in a crash shop. These badges are quite valuable. Gee, how many Commodores did I work on the claims and stuff, and Corollas did you see me work on in the crash shops? What are the most common cars? Some good memories. I remember where all these badges came from. Did a Typhoon at one point, an FG. let's do some measuring. Where are we at? Go there. Smidge over 2 centimeters. Huh. A smidge over 3. So I want to look at something because I was studying this before when it was on the tow truck at eye level. This shape here. So it tapers down. I reckon if we go on the point there to there, it's probably around 3.5-ish. Oh my. Yeah, we are nudging 4.5. Wow. Why did I take this job on? What is wrong with that? That sticks out like 300 feet. That seems way too long. Let's go with, it's around 10.5, 11. Oh, wow. Wow. At least this one looks right. This one is sort of tapers down, and they're supposed to be almost vertical. And that one sticks out. The other option is that it's actually missing. It's too flat through here, and it's supposed to curve more out here. I don't know. My experience is I've been dealing with these Falcon Coupes for a long time. I'm like, since day one. I personally have owned 5 of them, and they've all been built up from nothing. And I've worked on an absolute crap load of them. So I sort of know the back ends fairly well, and the shapes that they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, when this person put this wonderful company that shall not be named, and you know just by looking at the stickers what company that is, you made the telltale mistake. You never use the back end. Never use it if you can avoid it, because it's not right. None of this shape here is right on these panels, ever. When I put these on, if I have to use these brand, I will always cut them off here. And that saves all the shape that's supposed to be correct through here, which isn't. So I'm just going to have to do my best. I can't guarantee, looking at the back of this, if I can recover it completely. But all I can do is do my best. And try and return it to something that isn't horrifying to look at. Because I did, on the Brothers Landau, I had to replace this section, but wow, it's even got gaps in the welds. Was it weld gap, gap, weld, weld gap, weld gap, weld gap? Why go to that much effort and not finish the weld? At least finish the weld. Wow. And I don't know what on earth. Fun and games, kids. I don't know what was going on here. Looks like that was a gasless MIG. Now I've no issues with gasless MIGs if you're doing that and you're a first timer, because it's a pretty good way to start out. And I used gasless MIGs for many years, but once I got a gas bottle, I never went back. And the funny thing about gasless MIGs is the wire is really expensive because it's got flux in it, whereas the wire for gas MIGs is way cheaper. But you obviously got bottle rent, but that's not the end of the world. And you end up with a much cleaner weld, less crap, and etc, etc. So, I'm having a bit of a moment. I don't quite know where to start, but I think what I'll do first is just try and clean up what I can see and see if I can I might just clean off all this bog and rust and surface rust and just wire wheel and clean it, see if I can just find the metal and then figure out whether or not I should do the boot floor first or put this back panel in first. So this will be an interesting video series to watch on this one. I'm having a moment where I'm not quite sure where to start because it's all terrible. I just don't like talking bad about people because, yeah, somebody gave it a crack, and kudos to them for trying, but I suspect you might have bitten off more than you could chew. But, you know, at least you gave it a crack. There's nothing wrong with having a try. But I'm going to have to rework a lot of this. This could be a long video, this one today, chaps. But at least when it's done, it'll have a new back panel, new ends. I'll remake all the bottom of that, and I'll replace the boot floor so that when it goes away, and I'll probably reshape this area. At least I can't give it back in goodwill unless I'm happy with it. So I'm just going to try and recover it and bring it back to sort of an okay standard, because I don't think I'm a showstopper in my repairs. I think I'm passable. I think I personally am okay at it, but I am not a magician, and there are plenty of people better than me. But I'm just doing what I can, and I will try and recover this. So stay tuned, and we'll figure it out as we go. So I was in the process of a time lapse. I disappeared under a cloud of bog, and then I went and got my respirator. I just had to stop for a second because it's borderline hilarious, really. The whole corner, no joking, was bog. I'm like, look at my arm, I'm covered in it. Yeah, I'm gonna get back into it, but I just had to stop and just admire it. I don't even know, looks like there's a weld through there or something funny. I don't know, we'll just have to dig it off and see what's there. And then we'll get all the surface rust off too. And then I can give it a coat of black etch. At least we know what is there once we clean it all off. But yeah, wow. So if I time-lapse this forever, you will be here for 6 years, so I'm going to cut it here and then join it in afterwards. I've gotten it all clean. So far, I don't know if it's better or worse now. I cannot for the life of you figure out what is going on there. And yes, I did skim the edge of the quarter panel because I need to see what's there. It's I should be a little bit concerned that there you can definitely see a bit of surface rust underneath that bog, which is a bit concerning. But I think if you were to, I think you'd be opening up an enormous can of worms by bare metaling this whole car again. I think I'm just going to do what I have been asked to do, which is just the back section, and I will stick to that, and I'll let the person who is to finish it off, because, yeah, that's just a nightmare waiting to happen. And, yeah, I'll never understand why people bare metal stuff and then just leave it. Unless you just don't care about it. But he's obviously bare metal this and then just not put any primer over it, so it's gone a bit surface rusty, but I can get that off one of these plastic wheels, no worries, but I just don't understand it. Anyway, there's some stuff going on here. The problem is, I know I did a Landau, I did my brother's coupe, and I know that this, I'll put that up here, and it'll fall. This is supposed to resemble a Falcon coupe rear end. You know how they have that channel through here? It's supposed to have a channel through there, because it's the same quarter panel, and they just put a back panel on in the same way that a normal coupe taillight panel goes on, so they're joined in through here. There's supposed to be a groove through here that the factory filled with lead, and then it joins in as a nice smooth contour. But it's all gone, and it's just my brain's having a bit of a hard time trying to figure out how we're going to recover that, and I don't know why you'd have put a patch in like that which covers it up. Basically, there's supposed to be a divot in there, right there, and it's supposed to go down and around, and this should be here somewhere, the edge of that lump. So this is a bit of a this will be a damn good brain teaser. I'll be curious to see. I think I'll have to base everything off this side, because this side seems to be a lot closer to the original shape. But yes, we're definitely using respirators. I had the old man helping me for a second, because it's a fairly mundane task that isn't too difficult, bare metaling all this and getting all the crap off, and just getting it back to the starting point, basically. But yes, I'll catch you up once we've got this all cleaned and we can have a proper assess of what I have got myself into. Alrighty chaps, so we're going to take this in a slightly different direction in a minute. I've got the old boy to go off, and he's going to get me some sand, or garnet if you prefer, because Total Tools sell the blasting media pretty cheap. I'm pretty sure a 25 kilo bag's like 30 bucks. And we're going to get 3 of those, and we're going to clean up the back of the area that we have to do properly, really thoroughly. Get all up and under here, in and around the grooves, around the sides, in here, and get it all cleaned up perfectly, and through here, and clean up some seams so we can actually see what the hell we're working with. And how I was talking about this being all grooved, well, this is what the other side's supposed to look like. And it was my assessment earlier that this is actually the side that looks closest to what it's supposed to look like. And yes, see, and that's how I was talking about. I don't know if I mentioned this video or one of my other videos, the style line isn't supposed to keep going, it's supposed to fade off. So a big dent through there, but that's what the end of the quarter panel is supposed to look like, and it joins into the factory coupe quarter panel. So probably we'll be reworking this to resemble that, or at least as close as possible. We've just got to bring it back to something that is workable. That's just, I don't even know what's going on there. But yeah, we're going to go blast it in a second. We'll drop it down, push it out to the sort of door opening there, put a tarp down, and we'll blast all this so it's spotless and beautiful, and then we have a clean starting point to work from. So stay tuned. Here we go, got the sandblaster going, got the car outside, got lots of sand everywhere, but it's starting to clean up fairly well, and as I like to say, looking lovely. Nothing quite beats a sandblast in my opinion. It really does reveal all. So what I was partway through before it ran out of sand, is I was trying to find where the spot welds are that hold the floor pan in, and it was getting there. There was one. So yes, I don't know how super interesting this video will be. I'll probably wrap it up once I've got this all bare metaled and thrown in etch, and then we'll catch it up tomorrow with another video. But this at least gives you something to think about. Wow. Unbelievable. It's a bit hard to see because we're in a bit of a shadow, but nothing quite beats a sandblaster, eh? I'm not quite finished, I've got a bit more to do. And I've got to get under there a bit more. But it's cleaning it up really quite well. And it gets all the grooves. I've got to do probably the boot floors, I reckon, after I've done the back. But progressing well. I'll catch you up at the end. Alrighty, well that'll do for today. I think that's close enough to it'll make a decent starting point. If I fix the sandblast, I might just go across this top edge just a little bit. The seam sealer and stone guard that's sprayed on there is so thick that there's no point trying to sandblast it. Yes, so we've actually cleaned it up to something that we can work from. It's actually come up quite well. Looks a lot better. And the sandblaster has just blown a hole in its feed tube, which is common because it's done it a couple of times now. So you forget that as the sand comes down, it's being under pressure, and it does a couple of bounces, and it bounces around and it hits the inside, just wears a hole in it until the pressure just pops the hose. It's done it a couple of times. The actual sandblasting cabinet does the same thing, where it'll actually blast away a chunk of one of the nozzles, so that's why they stopped working. We've made good progress. On the next video for this car, I think we'll start getting into it. But at least we've got a clean slate to start from now. It's definitely been smashed hard in this corner, because that side sort of resembles the way it's supposed to look, and this side is very sad. Yeah, probably the first task we'll do is probably get the this panel out, I reckon, and then we'll get the boot floor out. Unfortunately, we'll have to try and get it out whilst leaving this piece in, which will be kind of fun in a not kind of fun kind of way. But you just can't beat sandblasting sometimes. It just gets things so clean. At least now we can see what we're working with. Interesting stuff. I hope you like this video. There will be more to follow. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this with your friends. Thank you.